it's me, Crystal. So today I thought it would be really fun to try to do one of those if you like this, then maybe you'll like that kind of recommendation video. And so I have 5 books, movies, and TV show recommendations, not 5 each, 5 total. And so for every book, movie, or TV show, I'm going to say, if you like this or if you think this sounds interesting, then try this book, movie, or TV show. Okay. I haven't done one of these before, but I thought it would be really fun. So the first one I have is a book. And so I have The Wives by Taryn Fisher. So if you like this book, or if you like the thought of this book, but then like me, you got to the end and then you're like, I don't know if I like this, you know, or if you think it sounds interesting, or if you did like this, then I have a TV show recommendation for you. So this is a suspense book. This has one of the most interesting blurbs. Okay, so the premise of this book is that you're following this woman, and she's married to this guy, and he has 2 other wives, and none of the wives are allowed to talk to each other. But then one day she contacts one of the wives, who I think is nicknamed Monday, and she like starts up a friendship with her. And the woman's name is Hannah, and Hannah is pregnant, and Hannah also has bruises on her body. And so then our main character starts thinking, oh my gosh, is my husband abusive? And it just kind of literally unravels from there. There's a twist in the halfway point that I was like, I don't know how I feel about this. I don't think I'm happy about this. And then it continues to go downhill from there. But it was just so interesting. I read this book pretty much straight through, and I have not done that in quite a while. So it was very interesting. It was one of my favorite reads last year, even though I gave it 3 stars. I thought about this book for days, okay? But if you think this sounds interesting, or if you've read this and you liked it, or you read this and, like I said, you didn't like the ending or the twist at the middle, and you didn't like it, I still think you will like the TV show on Netflix called Dead to Me. It stars Christina Applegate and somebody else. And the premise of the TV show is Christina Applegate's husband, he's going for a run one night and he's hit by a car. And around that same time, she starts going to this grief support group. And when she's there, she meets this woman played by our other main character, and they start up a friendship. And then there's like a twist, and then there's like more twists. And I think it only got a couple of seasons before it got canceled. I thought it was really good, and I would have been really happy to have like, you know, another season or 2, but I still think the first 2 seasons are really entertaining. And there's like a lot of like, you know, family stuff in there, and there's like a lot of drama, and of course there's murder. And I think if you like, you know, twists and like, you know, books involving, you know, women, you know, making not the best decisions in the world, then I think you were like Dead to Me on Netflix. Okay, I think that went okay. Let's go to the next one. Okay, so next, if you like A Quiet Place, then I have a book recommendation for you. Okay, so if you don't know what A Quiet Place is about, it stars Emily Blunt and her husband, Jim Halpert. I swear I know his name, but I'm just gonna call him Jim. Basically what happens is the apocalypse happened. There was an alien invasion, and the aliens basically hunt people down by sound. And so anytime you make a sound, you die. And so it follows this family, and they're trying to stay quiet, but Emily Blunt's character is pregnant, and you're like, oh my gosh, how are you gonna have a baby when you're not allowed to make any sounds, or you're gonna die? Now, there are some plot holes in this movie, but it's very interesting. It's very tense because it's very quiet. So like every single sound, you're kind of like tense. The whole time you're kind of jumpy. So I think if you like the movie A Quiet Place, then I think you're like Near the Bone by Christina Henry. This is also one of my favorite books I read last year. I gave this 5 stars. I'm pretty sure Christina Henry is one of my new favorite authors, but I have some more books by her that I want to read before I officially declare. But oh my gosh, the writing was so good. The atmosphere was so good. This book is very cold and quiet, intense, and you know, there is a thing in the woods. And I think the thing in the woods in this story has like a very similar vibe to like the aliens in A Quiet Place, where you feel very tense and you're not really sure what you're dealing with, and you're not really sure what it is. So this book is about this woman named Maddie, and Maddie lives in a cabin in the woods with her husband, and it takes place during like wintertime. There's snow everywhere, and she's not allowed to make a mistake, and she used to being very quiet and like making herself small and like trying not to upset her husband, and her husband's not great. And then there are like these monster hunters on the mountain, and she's trying to keep the monster hunters away from her husband because of her husband, you know, he doesn't want anybody around them ever. And it's very good and layered and scary. So I think if you like the movie A Quiet Place, I think you will also like Near the Bone by Christina Henry. So next, I have a manga recommendation for you based on if you like the book Shadow and Bone. So, if you like Shadow and Bone by Leigh Bardugo, either the book or the TV show, I still have not watched the TV show. I need to, and I want to, but like, haven't got around to it yet. So if you don't know, Shadow and Bone, it's about this girl, and she's a soldier, and then one day, light bursts from her hands, and she saves a lot of people in like this shadow place called the Fold, where there are these creatures in there. And so that's a really bad explanation of what this book is about. But anyway, if you like Shadow and Bone, then I think you would like the manga Magic Knight Rare. And this is put out by Clamp. This is a 25th anniversary edition, but I also have paperback versions of this as well. I just want to show you the artwork right quick. This is like one of my favorites like drawings too. So Magic Knight Rare, it's about these 3 girls, and they are all students in Tokyo, and one day when their different schools are on a field trip to Tokyo Tower, they get pulled into this magical realm to save Princess Emerald. This is so good. It's one of my favorite mangas. Anyway, so the reason why I'm comparing Magic Knight Rare to Shadow and Bone is for a couple of reasons, and I wrote them down, so I'm just gonna look at my notes. So reason number 1 is the chosen one aspect. Shadow and Bone has a chosen one trope, and Magic Knight Rare also has a chosen one trope, but in this one there are 3 chosen ones. And another reason why I'm comparing them is that you think one thing is going on, but really there's like a twist and like something much darker is going on. I mean, it's not too dark, but it is dark, you know. And it's just really fun, and it's like full of action and adventure and magic. And I think both of these books have that in common. There's chosen one or chosen ones, and there's adventure and magic and action scenes and creatures. So if you like Shadow and Bone by Leigh Bardugo and you're thinking about manga and you kind of want to get into manga, this is very accessible. This is so fun. And I think you will also like Magic Knight Rare by Clamp. And also, I forgot to mention, there's romance in both of these if you like romance. Number 4, I have a book, and if you like this book, if you like this book or if you're interested in this book, then I have a movie recommendation for you. So the book I have is Wendy Darling by A.C. Wise. I ended up giving this 3 stars, but I really love the writing, and I really like the story overall, and like the message of the story and the vibe of the story. I ended up giving it 3 stars because the ending was like kind of a letdown for me personally. It was just kind of like they built it up, and then when you got there, it was just kind of like watching the match go out. And you're like, I thought there was going to be an explosion, and instead there's just this match fizzling out. But before that point in the story, oh my gosh, this was so good. And I still really like the concept and just the overall vibe of this book. So this is a Peter Pan retelling, and it follows Wendy, and it goes back and forth in time in London and also back and forth in time in Neverland. And we also follow Wendy's daughter. And so the book opens up with Peter coming back for Wendy, but Wendy has grown up, and so he takes her daughter instead. And so then Wendy follows into Neverland to go rescue her daughter. Very, like, empowering. So the movie recommendation I have, I feel like, is also exploring like that feeling of being trapped, but also like, you know, female empowerment and like, you know, reclaiming like your life and like fighting for your life. And I think that they have this in common. But the movie I want to recommend is Sucker Punch. So this is a very strange movie, and I found this movie because I was on YouTube one day and I'm always watching like music videos and stuff. And so YouTube recommended a fan-made video of somebody taking clips from the movie and setting it to what dreams, these dreams are made of. What's the name of that song? These dreams are made of this. Is that the name of the song? Anyway, Emily Browning has a cover of that song for the movie. And somebody set it to her cover of that song. Like all these different scenes. And I thought the scenes looked really interesting. And they also didn't really seem to go together at the same time. And I was like, are all these scenes from the same movie? They were. And that was really interesting. And then like in the sidebar, there was a CinemaSins video where the guy was just like tearing apart the movie and making it sound like it was just like so bad. But I was like, I actually still think it looks interesting. So then I watched the CinemaWins video where they do the opposite and they talk about everything that's good about the movie. So then I rented the movie and I watched it and I was like, what is this? So then I watched the movie again, but I didn't watch the entire movie, and I'll explain that in a second. And then I bought the movie, and after I bought the movie, I also watched it twice. I watched the whole thing, and then I just watched like what I would call the real world scenes. So basically the movie is about this girl, and after her mother dies, her stepfather is a predator, and she is trying to kill him, but she misses and the bullet ricochets off a pipe and kills her sister. It's real sad. And so the stepdad sends her to a sanitarium, basically an insane asylum. And when she's there, she meets these other women and things start getting weird. Okay, so she creates like this fantasy world. So instead of being in an insane asylum, they're like in a bordello. And they have to perform for clients. And so whenever she has to perform for a client, which is dancing, we don't ever get to see her dance. I don't think the actress can dance. You know, she starts swaying and then she closes her eyes, and then we go into another fantasy world where she's like dressed up like a Sailor Moon character or like a fighter from the Magic Rare manga. And she's fighting monsters. It sounds weird, but like, trust me, it's really interesting actually. And so then she wins the fight and she comes back to the second fantasy world, and everybody's like, oh my gosh, that was the most amazing dance I've ever seen ever. And it's so ridiculous, but the real world part of the movie is really, really fascinating. And it's like disturbing. And I don't know, I just found it really thought-provoking. But yes, Wendy Darling and Sucker Punch, they both have women who are in a sanitarium. And they both have women who like have like this fantasy world, except in Wendy Darling, nobody believes her and her fantasy world is real. But in Sucker Punch, the fantasy worlds are a metaphor for these women like fighting for their freedom and fighting for their rights within the sanitarium. And I just thought it was really good. So I think if you've read Wendy Darling and you liked it, or if you think the concept of Wendy Darling sounds interesting, then I think you will also like Sucker Punch. Or if you have seen Sucker Punch, I think you will like Wendy Darling, or at least most of it anyway. And so for my last recommendation, we're gonna veer away from like my normal kind of genres that I typically read. And if you like The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood, then I have a movie recommendation for you. So if you don't know, I don't like a lot of contemporary romance. Whenever you have the obligatory third act fight, it usually pisses me off so bad that even a 5-star romance book will go down to 2 or 3 stars because I just get so mad. Now the obligatory fight in this was not bad at all. Okay. And so I ended up giving this 4 stars, which is pretty high praise coming from me. And so this is about this woman named Hazel, and I think she's a PhD student, and she starts a fake dating relationship with this professor, not her professor, but a professor, and like kind of like a really popular professor in the department, you know, popular for being like a jerk basically, and really, really smart, but like the biggest jerk ever. And it's really, really cute. Okay. And I just think it has like, you know, they have like good conversations in the book. And so I feel like if you like The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood, then you will like Love Hard on Netflix. So I can't think of the actress's name. But Love Hard is about this woman, and she is a writer, and she basically writes about her dating life. She works for some company, and she writes articles and stories about her disastrous dating life. And she goes out on all these dates online, and there's always something wrong with the guys, and there's always some kind of disaster. And she's like really popular for that. You know, one day her friend is like, you know, well, like, what's your range? And they like live in LA, I think, and her range was like 5 miles or something. And her friend is like, no. And she puts the range to cover like the entire US of A. And so she matches with this guy who lives in New York, and he's like perfect, you know, like he's cute and he's smart and he's funny, and they're talking on the phone, and she's just like, oh my gosh, this guy is the perfect package. And one day they're talking, he's like, oh, I really wish you could spend Christmas with me. And so she flies to New York to surprise him, and surprise, surprise. She's been totally catfished, you know, but she sees how he is with his family. And so to help him save face with his family, they have like they start fake dating. So she pretends to be his girlfriend, and in exchange, he will help set her up with the guy whose picture he used. And it's so cute. And it's funny, and normally I don't like stuff like that, but I just love this movie so much. I thought the casting was just great. But basically the title comes from his favorite Christmas movie, which is Love Actually, which I don't actually think I've seen actually. And her favorite Christmas movie, which is Die Hard, which I also haven't seen. And so they have the typical argument, is Die Hard a Christmas movie? And why she thinks Die Hard is the best Christmas movie, and he thinks Love Actually is the best Christmas movie. And I have seen parodies of Love Actually, so I did get a lot of those references. I don't know if there are any actual Die Hard references in the movie, but it is so cute. And it was just like a really good Christmas movie. So I think if you like The Love Hypothesis, especially the fake dating aspect, and also kind of like the deeper conversations, you know, that the characters are having in the books, I thought they had some really good conversations about some things in the Love Hard movie. So I think if you like The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood, I think you will also really like Love Hard on Netflix. But yes, they are both cute, they are both funny, they are both romantic if you're into romance, and I thought they were both really fun. This was really fun to read, and it was, oh my gosh, hilarious. And Love Hard was really fun to watch and just hilarious. So that's all for this video. So if you have any recommendations for any of the books, TV shows, or movies that I mentioned, then feel free to put them in the comment section below, and you know, let's share the recommendation love with each other. And also, let me know if you are familiar with any of these things. And yeah. So I will see you guys next month, and I'm finally going to have a reading wrap up, first one of the year. And I'm just going to do a reading wrap up for January and February. And if I want to film a TBR, I will. But if I don't feel like it, then we'll just skip that, and then we'll do one later maybe. But in any case, I will have a reading wrap up next month and a book haul next month for everything that I've been buying so far this year. And I have some really interesting books that I've got this year, and I'm excited to talk about them. So I will see you guys next week, and I hope you got a good February, and I hope you have a great rest of the month. Bye.